Hello
And welcome.
to the Minimum Wage Podcast. Where even the name is above our pay grade. Today, we're joined by
Dane Dowdy.
my brother, believe it or not.
Absolutely wild.
The one, the only. So
Maybe.
you had a word of insight right before we started, and it was,
So correction is almost a taboo in this day and age.
and explain that a little bit.
So we live in an era where feelings are being validated to the extent where any correction against that person is an accost against their feelings.
Yeah, and I think people tie their own, their view of themselves, their image of themselves, far too closely to their ideas and their opinions. So when somebody says, hey, that opinion is wrong, or that idea doesn't make sense, I don't like that idea, people feel a personal attack against them because they've created this whole persona in their mind that includes their ideas and their really objective answers to questions. And when somebody is able to point facts and really lay out the data in front of them, they're like, oh, you're attacking me personally, when it's really
Right.
not that whatsoever. It's just trying to get you to change your viewpoints that are wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, so we'll bring up the context in which this is said. And we were talking about how Daelyn was doing something to help Gurman.
Right.
So to me, I think people don't do that type of correction anymore to their friends because the friend won't be able to take that correction.
Huh.
So even just telling someone that might not be the right person for them, they get caught up in their own feelings.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, when you have any type of say into somebody else's life, they kind of
Mhm.
get angry about that.
Yep.
Well, it's more of a problem with
So it's
problem
more a
with-
problem with the
with-
person receiving that.
right.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and why that's just a big thing all of a sudden. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's always been here, but now we're just, saying like, hey, why is everyone doing this, as opposed to everyone doing it and just not saying anything about it. Because, I mean, people will usually tell you if you're doing something dumb. It's up to you to listen and then acknowledge, yeah, what I'm doing is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Mhm.
shouldn't do that.
It's not a matter of giving correction. Well, while that is a good piece, though, there's an important lesson in giving correction correctly.
Right. Because
But-
there are
That's
people
true.
who give correction a lot better than others. And
Exactly.
there's some people
Mm-hmm.
who will say, hey, don't do that, in a way that makes you want to do nothing more in your whole life till you die with that one very thing,
Yeah, there's
Like,
people
man,
that like
I want to do this one thing
yeah,
just
because of the way
'cause you're
that
a
you
little
brought it
rat.
to my attention, because I hate it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's also a lesson to be learned in giving correction as well as receiving correction.
Yeah.
Because if somebody gives it in the absolute best way possible and then you can't receive that, that's a major problem with you.
That's a major problem.
Mhm.
to you.
Yeah, and both sides have to be corrected. In the modern era, people are so easy to give correction. People find it so easy to give correction. And they're not doing it the right way a lot of times. You see on social media,
I think-
anybody
Mm-hmm.
anybody giving
Well, that's-
correction via social media is
so
doing
I think
it
that's
wrong.
where it comes from. Is everyone is able to go on the internet and then they just fight this war in the comments.
Yeah.
This brutal war where they go at each other.
Yeah.
They tear each other's throats, man. And they're just going at each other, fighting battles that mean nothing and that benefit no one. Like they're arguing over, who's right about this, and like, oh well, I'm right because of this, and you're watching both of these people argue in the comments, and you're just laughing to yourself like you're both wrong.
Let me make sure I hit record.
Mercy.
Yeah, I hit record.
All right,
Cool.
good. Good. Also, I did notice you are wearing the jean outfit, man. You are
Oh,
jean
yeah,
out,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, so this is a recent pickup. This
Oh,
is
yeah?
something new. Yeah.
He's got jean
Little
on jean.
Little piece.
I don't
I
even know
got
if
the
that's
jeans.
legal.
So I've actually never worn a denim jacket in my life.
Is it
like
nice?
straight up. It's so nice, and then it's
Where is it?
lined too. So if you see,
Oh, is that
there's like a little
soft?
flannel line. Yeah, like a
Incre-
soft
Truly
flannel.
incredible.
This is literally like a blanket on the inside, dude.
Daggum.
And then the outside is denim, so it's like super perfect for a day like today where it's a little chilly, but like not
Yeah.
too crazy.
It's pretty chilly.
Yeah,
It's pretty chilly.
it's a little chilly, but not too crazy, and it's like the perfect fit with some jeans, dude. What are you gonna do? Like jean on
What are you
jean?
gonna do?
Jean
I
on
don't know.
jean? What are you gonna do?
Jean on jean.
Game over.
Game over.
Game over.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of the jean on jean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I am either. I just really love how it feels.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't ever say that I'm a stylish person.
You've always been more of a tactile
Well,
person, though, right? So you
I
like
care a lot
you like
more
the way
about
things feel more than how
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks.
Yeah, like
So there's
why would I wear something that looks good if it makes me just uncomfortable as all
Mhm.
get out?
yeah. So there's two prongs to how I choose what to wear.
Is it
The
comfortable?
first is comfortability, and that has a lot to do with tactility. So like how it
Mhm.
feels to me, how it feels like the outside. This denim feels
Plus,
great.
Does
The
it have
inside feels
pockets?
incredible.
Does it got loops?
That was
does-
the
Mhm.
second
Is it
one.
useful? utility.
You know?
The utility. The
Yep.
utility
My
of that.
clothes should be a utility to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if you're doing
100%.
it any other way, you're doing it wrong.
That's the bottom line.
You know, women, I guess, a lot of them.
Sorry, ladies.
Some
Yeah,
of them
I was gonna say, women. The majority of
utility.
women feel like they have to look nice. They have to dress a certain way in order to be appreciated. But men realize that it doesn't actually matter. For dudes, we judge each other not off what you're wearing, but off who you are. For girls, it's not that way, really. I would say a lot of women judge other women by the way they look.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I'm not a woman, but
I'm not a woman. I'm not.
but I do happen to live with two of them, believe
I
it
mean,
or not.
some dudes do challenge the way you look.
I don't know, dude. None
I-
that I hang around with. None that I care to hang around with.
It's very difficult to make broad statements when it comes to any topic like that because not a single broad statement that you can make is true. Make a statement, I will go
That's
find you
true.
an exception. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always an exception.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 billion women, roughly, give or take, probably take. But
So yeah,
you know,
yeah.
out
When
of
I
4
judge,
billion possibilities,
I
I'm
don't know.
sure there's got to be at least like 100 million exceptions or something.
Yeah.
so when I
um,
judge a guy, and we all do this, we all make judgments.
Right. That's just
Our
how
first
that's
impression.
how it works.
That's how
So
like human biology works.
Demeanor is one of the most important things to me, right?
Mm,
So if you're an aggressive person, you can see that in the way that that person acts,
yeah.
Mhm.
and I avoid those types of people
Yeah.
Mhm.
because to me, I mean, I don't want to go and put myself in a potentially risky situation.
Yeah. So have you ever read The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene?
No.
I'm
Okay.
not either.
Okay. Well, read it first of all. Read it, but also
Advertisement.
this
This is a product placement.
it's a book that I could recommend everyone to read, but it's a book that scares me that if everyone reads it,
We'll probably have it linked.
it'll be a problem, you know? Because it's like forbidden knowledge. Like, it's that level. It's wild, dude.
So,
And
so
how is
explain
that?
it. Explain
Yeah,
it.
Anyway,
that,
so
you know, 'cause-
in there they talk about the fact that every person fits into an animal category, an animalistic category. And I believe the type that you're talking about is the bear.
Well, hang on. Whenever you categorize things like this, it's very easy to make categories and then assign people categories,
Mhm.
ignoring the fact that some people walk between those boundaries.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
I
mean,
find that
anyone can
almost
have a bad
every-
day.
almost every test that I've taken online is dumb and stupid because I'm like, well, I fit into like 6 different categories here. You know, like it's not impossible to be both this and that the same amount.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a general idea. It's a
Mm.
general way of categorization for easily and quickly distinguishing types of people. So there are general categories that people will fall under. Everyone has like a little slight different way that they are incorporated into that category.
Like crackheads.
Exactly. Crackheads are the bear, dude. But they're only
know,
the
like-
bear because they're crackheads. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Mm.
but there are different types of crackheads.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fair.
There are crackheads out on the street, and there are crackheads who are paying their bills, living completely, like
albeit
normal
far less of them, but
far less of them because it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
expensive and
it's hard to do stuff while you're on crack. Believe it or not,
I wouldn't
it's
know,
hard to
but,
do valuable things.
I wouldn't know.
I've got no experience, but I would assume that.
I've got far too much experience, dear Lord.
Bless you, Lord.
Oh man, but yeah, I would
They
assume.
managed to do some things pretty well.
No, dude, imagine going through college, getting a computer science degree while being a crackhead.
While being a crackhead.
I don't think that's actually possible. Like legitimately,
You like smoke crack
I don't
before
think.
and after. Just
How can you
every
even
class?
do that?
I mean, it depends
know,
on which
'cause-
superpower the crack gives
I've
you.
seen all the
So-
crackheads that I've ever seen in my life.
there are crackheads.
I guess there are crackheads that I just
Um,
if they are like that, like me, where they can just get a computer science degree.
Usually, how a
I wouldn't know that they were
a-
crackheads.
high functioning crackhead works is they'll like work for like a couple of days, like living normal without their crack, but then like on the weekends,
They're
That's
just
all they
cracked
do.
out.
they're just cracked out.
They just cracked out the whole
Wow.
weekend.
Back to it on Monday. Get back to that
Sober
weekend.
on Monday.
And they're cracked out.
Dude, what a negative cycle.
Wow, that's wild, dude.
Well,
So they worked the entire week for the weekend of crack.
Yeah, for a weekend of crack.
That's wild.
That's wild.
That is wild. Is
I
that
guess that's some
is
serious
that even easy to
motivation.
That's just
do?
your whole life.
But no,
It's
is that
just
even
like
easy to
crack.
do? Because crack is super, super addictive. So, like,
Some-
what's to stop those people from saying, oh, it's Monday, guess what? I can still do crack.
I guess
I
the
mean-
strength of their will.
what's
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is crazy because then you wonder, like, how they're even doing crack at all in the first place.
I mean, it's the same reason why people that smoke cigarettes try and get off, but they can't do it.
Yeah, but no, you don't see anybody that smokes cigarettes that's trying to get off, but they can't do it. Smoking a cigarette on Friday, a cigarette on
Yeah.
Saturday, a cigarette on Sunday.
But I
You
mean,
never
that
see
being
that.
said, like I
You know
wonder
what I'm saying?
Gurman,
I mean,
do those
And then
people
stop
get
smoking cigarettes on
do
Monday?
those people get withdrawals on like a Monday?
I don't know.
I don't know. I
don't
don't know
know.
any of
I
those
don't
people
know.
personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it
I
makes
would
you wonder,
like to
right?
know them
Yeah,
personally
it does make
because
you
I
wonder.
want to know more about it.
I would love to
I
know.
don't
We need a crackhead on the
We need
podcast.
answers.
Yeah.
You know what?
If you're a
If you're a
crackhead,
crackhead, let us know. We'll get you on the podcast.
we
You
will
can
get
tell
you on
us
the podcast to
all
talk
the
about
ins
it.
and outs of
Yeah.
what
Yes.
it's like to do crack and not do crack and how horribly
Interesting.
Only do
Addictive
crack
it
on
is.
occasion.
Yeah.
Man,
what's it like only doing crack on occasion.
Will we be the first podcast to ever have a crackhead on?
No,
no,
there's
I'm
gotta
sure.
have been
I'm sure
somebody.
we can go
I'm
find some
sure
crack.
there's a podcast like
There's so many podcasts. Someone's got
someone's got a crackhead on there. Dude, we should make a podcast
Probably
where
like
we
got
interview
shanked.
random people off the street. So like you just go you go to downtown Augusta, you say, man, let's
You're
do a
gonna get shot.
podcast. Bro, they would steal everything
Yeah,
we have.
Yeah, 100%.
Like hold out your phone from the answer. They're just gonna nab that shit.
Yeah, they're just gonna take your phone.
Nab it and run.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're never gonna get that back.
No.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you realistically could because
You
I've
find
got.
my
Yeah, I know. I've got Find My. I can literally send their coordinates to the law enforcement.
law
I mean,
enforcement.
true, yeah.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is my phone. Here it
It's
is.
at these
Go get it
exact
for me. Thank you.
coordinates on Earth. They could just like
Yes.
launch a missile.
Go get it for me. Thank you. And I'm pressing charges. And they say, okay. Okay.
So
If you insist.
I want to ask you about something, David. I don't know why this popped into my head right then, but we were talking about generational differences in the car on the way here, right?
Sure.
We were.
So my question to you is, do old people, do they not have the ability to learn the new technology, or do they just not want to?
There's a lot of old people that have different mentalities about this. For instance, our grandpa that's alive
Mhm.
right now, definitely is not one of the old people that just doesn't care about new technology, doesn't want to adapt to it, hates it, which a lot of the old people are. We see a lot of examples of that in our daily lives where these
Well,
old people
Mhm.
don't want to adjust and adapt.
There is a large group of older people who just so like we grew up with technology and with the concepts of like like how to interact with and use it. Like those are like like it's obvious. Like I open up my phone, I swipe up, I got the back buttons, I swipe down to search for apps, I hold the side button, talking to Siri, got my control center.
I mean, to us,
all
that's
that
obvious.
stuff. Right, yeah. That's obvious. But to someone who has never, used it and didn't really use it as the technology was what was being made, because it was pretty expensive whenever technology was first made, and then it became more of like a popular thing. Some of them just don't want to learn the like concepts of just how the like user interface works. And because like I can understand how it could be confusing to someone who had never really seen it before, but again, to some degree,
I mean, how at this
I
point,
feel
how have
like
you not seen it?
simply well, right. It comes down to some degree of like, but they're just choosing to not interact with it and
Yeah.
to not learn it. And it's like, oh well, it's harder, to learn stuff.
Can't teach an old
You
dog
know.
new tricks.
But it's
type
Yeah.
like,
deal.
it's like, well, yes, I'm sure it is harder, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell you that it isn't, because I'm not you.
Yeah.
If you are that old person, but there are plenty of old people who are managing to do it just fine, and maybe
True.
it may be that whenever they tried to ask someone for help about it, they, instead of being kind and helpful, they're like an asshole to them or something.
Yeah.
And then that just made them, push further. Plus, people have been told a lot of lies about technology.
So I have noticed though that the ones that do pick up the use of technology are the ones that are more active in their everyday lives, right?
yeah,
So the people that are either still working or they need it
Well,
to be able to do something else.
especially if you're. A lot of the old people who don't touch technology really aren't active members of society. They
Yeah.
just sit at
Mhm.
home in their hovel, because to them I've already lived my life. I've already done my work.
Exactly.
Okay, bum,
And
then
it's
get the
that's
hell outta
really
here,
it's
you know
really a
what I'm saying?
mindset, isn't it? Because the people that have, I've already lived my life, I've already done exactly what I need to do, they've survived for forever, just doing whatever they've always done. So they come to technology and they're like, hey, why do I need this bullshit? I can just live my
Why
life.
do you need this? I didn't need it. You don't need it.
Exactly.
That's so
I hate
dumb.
that mindset. I hate that
That's-
mindset so much.
I didn't have it, therefore you should.
You didn't have showers either.
Oh man. So anyways, Steve Swinson said to all of us, when one person was done like putting up their table,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "You're not done until everyone's done."
Yeah.
To me, that's a lesson that's kind of stuck with me, but a lot of people didn't get that lesson.
True.
Right. So they're able to kind of just stop and say, "Okay, I've done my part."
Yeah.
But to me, my part's never
It-
done.
It's never done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I would like it to be. Don't get me
That-
wrong.
No, you actually bring up a great concept.
That's actually a
because
great point.
Yeah, because the old people that are like, I've done what I need to do, are the people that aren't adopting new technology, aren't doing anything more. They don't care to do
As a matter
anything
of fact,
more.
Some of them are trying to hold new stuff back.
Yeah, it's
That-
wild, dude.
Yeah.
That is the really annoying part, and that's
Yeah.
whenever you're like not only have you just
Yeah.
chosen to not adapt, you're also
You're trying to hinder-
to act
Yeah,
like
you're
pull
a
everyone
rock in the
else
way of
back.
the river, man.
Yeah,
Like,
Exactly.
what's going on?
What's it
here?
gonna do?
Or something.
Yeah.
You're either gonna be
Move
pulled
this
down the
rock.
river or it's gonna go around you.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what, dude. Dane's all for the analogies,
All
bro.
for the
What in the
analogies.
world?
It's wild.
It's blowing my mind.
It helps me see things clear.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lord knows you need to see things clearly.
I
got them
think
glasses.
on a more visual scale, right? So I think in images, and that image helps me remember things.
Yeah. Well, that's everybody. If you can visualize something, then you can remember it. That's why you have the
Mhm.
idea of the mind palace.
You know what? Some people can't.
Can't what?
Some people cannot imagine things in their brain.
How? How do they remember anything?
Well, if you think how would someone who was born blind have a visual representation of anything in their brain?
I've always wondered that.
And there are people who can see who just can't do it because there's something's just missing in their brain. It's just,
Do you
so-
think it?
something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, dear Lord, but
But
something
like
right.
how?
Do you think they
I
could be
just don't
trained or
know.
learn?
Well, it's like if you try to explain what it's like to be able to see things in your head, it almost doesn't
Does not
it
compute.
doesn't make sense. Like what do you mean you see things in your head? Like yeah, like I see things, right? Like no, like I see it in my head. Like what are you talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Seeing it in your head. What does
Yeah.
that even mean?
Construct a mental image.
Yeah, it's like meant like what? What do you
Yeah. So you're saying if you don't have that ability already, that you can't even
Yeah.
wrap your mind around it, really?
yeah,
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't
it
know.
makes sense because
Yeah, it does make sense.
because there's a whole different line of thinking.
Yeah,
just
and it's the
something else.
exact same thing we've already talked about where if you
I
don't
try
have the
to-
sense of touch, then you would never be able to comprehend what the sense of touch is.
Yeah,
If you
Mhm.
can't see, you don't know what seeing is. What is seeing? If you can't hear,
but,
what is hearing?
other than what you've been described, right?
Yeah.
well,
So
okay.
someone who can't see
How do
can
you
still.
explain touch though? It's like every time you like make contact,
Yeah.
you like feel something, but like
What is feel?
what do you mean feel?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So to
Like,
somebody that has
this
zero
feels like that, but
zero experience whatsoever with it, there's no way really to explain it to them. The words that we
Hmm.
use to explain it are all
built on past experience.
yeah, exactly, and built on collective past experience.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what touch is because they've touched.
Everyone
Everyone
knows
knows
what
what it
taste
is to
is,
feel
'Cause they've
something.
tasted.
Exactly, everyone knows what it is to
Like,
hear
for
because they've
instance-
heard,
For
Here.
instance,
because they've heard.
if you've never like tasted anything, you're like, wait a minute, you're telling me that like putting that thing in your mouth and that thing in your mouth is like different in some way? Like how is that different? Like taste? Like what does that even mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
How do you explain taste
How do you explain
to
taste?
something that
yeah.
can't taste?
It's the same way of like trying to explain a color
It's just like
to somebody that's colorblind. It's like what?
yeah, it's like it's just I don't know. It looks different. It feels different. Something's
It looks
different. It's
yeah.
just-
What is the difference between red and blue? How are you explaining that?
well, that one is different wavelengths, but
Okay, yeah, that one. Oh,
Yeah.
but
You
I'm
picked a
saying,
different way
I'm saying to
about it.
somebody that's like looking at something, they're like, if they can't really tell a difference between
Right.
red and blue, how are you going to explain a difference to them?
yeah.
Mhm.
You know.
You know.
Anyway, where did we come off from?
I don't know.
What branch did we come off
We were
from,
talking
dude?
about how correction in this day and age.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
people aren't. Oh,
So
old
receiving
people, old
correction
people
more than
and
giving
technology.
correction, yeah.
Yeah, so
Excuse me.
I was gonna say you think that the people that are more active are the ones that adopt new technology, and I
Mhm.
think you probably see that because they're more willing to do things. They're more willing to do new things too. So when people in their old age are still active, that goes to show that they aren't interested in just sitting around doing nothing.
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. What's the point? And then they see it the same way. What's the point in not adopting this technology?
But at the same time, it's the people that have adopted the technology that sit around and do nothing.
How
Is
so?
it, though?
How many hours a day do you think the average teenager spends on social media?
That's a teenager, though. A
Yeah.
teenager isn't contributing to the world. They're still learning how to.
Yeah.
And
So
they're
So
arguably
I
not
think
learning much.
you are right though. So the older people that are more active are going to be the ones that adopt new technologies.
Sure.
Right. And they are going to adopt the new technologies because it has utility to them.
Yeah, that's fair. So you think they're doing more things than the average old person. So when something comes up that they want to be able to do, they're going to have to adopt that new technology to be able to do that
Because
thing.
it has a use.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you don't think they're just adopting the technology and then finding use cases. They're working backward.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So they
Okay.
need it for something, and so then they find the technology that works for that purpose.
That makes sense, actually, because
Yeah.
if we think about Grandpa, okay, Grandpa was sending me photos. So over text message, he would send me photos and would
Mhm.
say, "Hey, can you email these to me?" And I never even thought of another thing of it. I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'll do it." But finally, one day, I was like, "Hold up,
Why am I getting texted pictures to email?
yeah, can't he? If he can text them, can't he email them to himself?"
mercy.
Yeah, and sure enough, one day he texts me and is like, "Hey, can you send me these pictures? But also, can you come over and show me how to send them to myself?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Certainly.
110%. I'll be there ASAP." So I pull up on him, and he's just so ready to learn. He's so ready to see how I do it.
Love that.
And he's like, "No, I don't want you to do it. I want you to let me do it, and you just guide me through it." And I'm like, yeah, perfect. That's the best
Bada
way.
bing, bada boom.
I'll do it
Yep.
once. I'll show you how it's done. I'll give you the phone. I'll walk you through it. And then I'll give you the phone and not say a word.
And they'll
You know?
say, now text me the picture or something.
Now,
I don't
yeah,
know.
exactly. Now email yourself a photo. you
Email
know?
yourself a photo.
Now take a photo and email it. Yeah, so
That
for
gum-
Grandpa, he had uses, like he wanted to take pictures of things. And he didn't want a big-ass camera. He wanted his phone to be able to take
such
pictures.
convenience. Also, it's isn't it crazy that everyone has a camera now? Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has a camera.
Everyone's a
If-
photographer.
If everyone was walking around with a camera like 60 years ago, people would think you're nuts. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing putting the camera away? Put that camera away. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what are you doing with
know?
that camera?
But now it's like, oh, I mean, now we have the cameras that we carry around in our pockets making this.
Yeah. And I think about it too. The cost per photo is nothing.
The cost per you used to buy film. Now
Yeah.
it's just snap,
When you
erase.
think about it, we're taking
Digital.
60 photos every single second.
High
how
quality,
crazy is
too,
that?
In 4K.
Yeah, I
Actually,
know.
n-
Well,
not all of them.
I'm taking 1080, you're taking 4K.
1080, 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but needless to
60 a
say,
second.
Lots of storage
needless to say,
space.
back in the
Lots of
day,
storage
you know, the first year that photos were invented, maybe they didn't even take 60 photos. You know?
Yeah.
And here we are per second
Per
doing
second.
that. Yeah,
And you
so
had to like bring them underground and like dog things to develop them.
exactly. Develop the photo.
Develop the photo. We got AI to we don't do that for me.
We
you
got AI to create a photo for
yeah, we got creative
Bruh.
AI to create it out of nothing.
So
Exactly.
let's talk about AI for a second because I cannot.
every single
Every
podcast.
episode. Well, like
sorry.
everyone wants to talk about AI.
That's
I
true.
mean, it's new and it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But I cannot personally visualize myself utilizing AI in an everyday workspace.
Do you look things up online?
I do.
Okay, boom, done. That's it.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because it'll give you better answers. Doggone, we're
Dog-
AI. We're programmed by the
We
AI.
are the
Doggone
AI.
it, dude.
But the hope is that once you're in your career, you'll know what you're doing, so you won't have to look things up.
No.
No. Well, okay.
The hope is that you're constantly learning in your career. The hope is
yeah,
that
that's true.
day in and day
Constantly.
out you're
But I
learning
mean, that's
something.
why they send you off to like seminars and things.
Well, okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
But
for
why
big things. That's for adopting a
have-
new service or something. But day in and
No,
day
no, no.
out,
But why have a seminar when you can just get taught it by the AI?
yeah. Why can't you just
or have
come
the
to
AI
a
help you?
problem, type it into the AI, and then have the answer immediately?
Doggone it, have the AI do it.
Doggone it if that ain't the truth.
You know?
You know?
Can the AI give itself prompts?
What
I
do you
don't
mean?
know.
Can it run by itself? So
I mean,
So
I'm sure-
everything that y'all have just told me is the human has to tell the AI to do something.
So currently, ChatGPT 3 is an open language model that has been trained on a bunch of data, and then it interprets your question, gets the information, and then like learns how. It's been taught how to take a question in like a format of just someone talking, and then how to answer that in a way as if it was a person talking. We've been able to ask computers questions and understand what we mean for a while. Like, again, if you go online and you type in like how much does something weigh, you know, it'll answer that. But learning how to answer that in a way that that like, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that. Being able to answer it in like a way to where it just like tells you the answer, as opposed to saying, typing in like how much does this thing weigh, and we found 92 billion things on Google.
Like
I
I'm
don't care about
talking
92
about
billion things on Google.
anticipating your action.
Oh, so yeah, that's that's only like a couple steps away. I mean, all you need to do is like have a artificial intelligence that is capable of doing that, and then a step further is like ChatGPT understands English language, but it doesn't think thoughts. You can teach it language, but you can't make it think thoughts. What we need to do is learn how to program in the understanding of language to how to take the understanding of language and then make thoughts.
Yeah.
Does the AI
So,
have
like-
desire?
No.
Interesting.
Not at all. The
Not
AI
really.
right now is super rudimentary.
Yeah.
Like
it's-
the
I mean,
AI
it's
we
it's
have
not
is literally
an
just math.
intelligence then.
No.
So calling
It's
it
artificial
an AI,
intelligence.
It's not.
No,
it's
it's
not
a
an
farce,
artificial.
dude. It's
It's
not intelligence.
artificial.
It's not an intelligence. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a open language model, but we choose to just call it, artificial intelligence.
Artificial
But we have however, we have yet to have a true intelligence come out of it.
No, I think you guys are misinterpreting the word intelligence. Because if you think of the Central Intelligence Agency, they're not talking about a brain. They're talking about information. They're talking about information that is able to be presented to you. Okay? And with an AI model like ChatGPT or GPT-3 that we have right now, it is presenting information to you. And it's not like an intelligence in the way that your brain is intelligent
it's not,
and it can think.
It's not the data itself either. Intelligence is data,
Yeah.
right? So calling it artificial intelligence, if you're using it that way, means artificial data
Fake
or
data.
fake data.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Calling it AI
Hang
to me
on.
is fake.
Hang
It's-
on.
It's not real.
artificial doesn't mean fake.
Man-made.
It just means, not naturally occurring.
Yeah. Which very much so. Like the conglomeration of data that you get from an artificial intelligence is not natural. You're not just going to pull that out from
Well,
somewhere.
you'd hope that the scientific knowledge is based on natural understanding.
What?
I mean, the
does
laws
that
of
mean?
physics are based on nature, right?
Yeah.
They're based off of our observations of nature, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you have it.
which can be
What?
quantified
So what are you saying?
and fed into a language model.
You repeat
Then
what you said
computed.
first.
I don't remember what I said.
Me
neither. So you just
Okay.
derailed the train for nothing.
All right, hang on. I think I know kind of where I was.
Okay, go ahead.
So, like, once you can teach a computer how to jump from just being able to, like, answer questions, just, be asked a question, get the answer, give the answer to being able and
So
saying, like,
what I'm visualizing, right, and I'll explain it to you
Yeah.
before you explain your point,
Okay.
is something where I want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So something where I get assigned a case or I
Mhm.
talk with the person. It collects all the data from that case, and then it can put together a plan for me that's the best point of attack for that case.
Also, one thing I do
So-
want to say is that's kind of a scary place to
Like-
be going right now, because law is going to be the first thing that's taken by AI.
Dude, I cannot wait
Mhm.
until we finally get rid of witness testimony in law.
Oh my gosh!
It's gonna be incredible. I can't wait till we get rid of
Oh my gosh,
it.
dude!
And people are like, "Oh, get rid of witness testimony."
So
Get rid
in
of
big
witness-"
cities we're close,
like
just
like,
because of
like,
the vast quantity of cameras.
like we really believe that.
yeah,
You
nobody
really
should
believe
ever
that?
believe the word of another person.
Oh, but he swore on the Bible.
yeah, he
you
swore on the
believe that?
Bible. He told the judge he wasn't gonna
You believe that?
gonna lie.
I don't believe
This
that.
calls to mind that scene in Better Call Saul where
Never
He
seen
said, she said. Like, oh well, he took my purse. I don't know that woman.
exactly.
Prove it.
Yeah,
Prove one of them.
Anyways,
one of you
so-
prove.
So Saul
Prove it.
puts
Yeah,
this.
one of you prove something.
And
So
so
Daelyn-
instead, you just have to make an
Aw,
argument
man.
to a bunch of people. But hang on, I do need to finish my thing
Go
about
for it.
artificial intelligence before it slips away from my brain. So you would like teach a model or the artificial intelligence, and you would give it like a mission, and then
It fulfills all the tasks to
and
complete
then-
that mission.
and then it would be taught like one thing that it needs to be taught is how to take the same question and the same piece of information and draw different equally correct answers.
So here's another thing, right? Is a lot of times it's hard for me to say this, but law is based on emotion
Yes.
because you have to sway the jury.
Oh yeah, of course. That's why
That's
so-
That's why you want to present yourself so well
Wait
in a
till we don't have
courtroom.
a
So
jury.
then
Wait till it's
here's
an AI
here's my
saying-
second point.
Exactly.
How then does an AI take that process away?
What do you mean?
You can probably
They
get
already
rid of a
do
jury
it. They
with
they
an
literally
AI,
already do it. There's a computer program
but you should
that
leave
tells
the
the
judge, as a
judge how
human.
long he should sentence somebody. And it's already a problem, actually.
No. I don't like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's literally already a problem because it's racist.
I think that if you have a jury that is an AI, that's not a problem. But the judge should be human. The one who's giving the actual sentence.
Yeah, 110%.
And choosing the sentence
because
should be human.
I don't like the idea.
Whether guilty or not guilty, though. That can be.
I don't like the idea that there's just zero emotion in law, though. You say we need to take the emotion out, but like, no, I don't think so because people need to be seen as human beings. You know.
You misunderstood what I was saying.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, how do you have an AI that can make an emotional argument?
Yeah, that's why
to sway the jurors.
No, I think there will be a AI jury long before there's a need to make an emotional.
See, I don't like that
argument.
I don't like that.
What's your argument against it?
Because unless it's a clear-cut case, where there's proof, you need the jury to determine the best course of action.
I don't think you should ever convict anybody without proof.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are so many cases that get like people will get convicted just based off of he said this and this person says that, and they say, all right, we got enough evidence.
Yeah,
evidence.
Well,
you
look
have
at
nothing.
DNA. Look at DNA.
So
when DNA was invented, how many people were exonerated? 17,000. More than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the reality is there are people being put in jail every single day for something they didn't do, and there's no proof that they did.
Artificial intelligence would also be able to say not enough evidence.
Yeah.
You know, just say not enough evidence.
Just dismiss the
and
case.
That's it. Dismiss the case.
And it would speed up the court system for the high-profile cases to maybe get seen before a judge.
What happens to the person that was wronged?
Who?
The victim.
Oh.
Nothing.
Exactly. If there's not enough evidence. That's the police not doing their job.
How?
And collecting enough evidence.
Yeah, but like...
If there's not enough evidence to be collected, then what are you going to do?
Okay.
Do you want a camera to be on every single corner of the street?
So it already is.
Inside of every single person's house?
If, for instance...
It already is.
It's not.
Bro, all of our phones are tapped.
No, dude, dog,
they're not going to use that for a civil case.
They can't use it for a civil case yet.
Nor should they be able to, I don't think.
Dude, we would
That's
know
such a big invasion of our privacy.
No. We would know if our phones are tapped. The fact that people think that our phones are tapped and that they're live streaming in is retarded. It's retarded. No, it pisses me off. We would be able to know. The amount of data stream that would take coming off your phone would be detectable. You would see the signal coming out of it. The fact that you cannot detect the Wi-Fi packets coming out means there ain't shit going. There is not shit going out of your phone.
It's based on keywords.
No, phone calls for sure.
Yeah, phone calls. That's different.
Yeah.
But like seeing your
the
cameras.
Fact that people are seeing through your cameras and
that's
shit.
complete bullshit.
That.
That's complete shit. People walk out there
my
thinking
phone's always
that's
in my pocket, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, oh, they're tapping in. Yeah,
no,
right.
the NSA doesn't see jack, but what I will say is like TikTok does.
TikTok does.
TikTok does.
Yeah,
things you post, gone. Don't worry about it.
TikTok can do anything.
Anything you post, that's gone.
Yeah. Also, the reality is too, TikTok can just take your video, put any type of subliminal message in it, and just post it.
Yep.
You know? So anything you post at TikTok is theirs.
That's like a lot of places online, though. Most people don't realize, but like if you look at their policies,
privacy policy,
they
own everything you post. Yeah, absolutely. Which is a good business model, honestly.
Oh, no. I feel like that should be a case.
What? Because you signed a privacy policy? I don't think so,
No,
buddy.
I think that it's unconstitutional to have that in a privacy policy.
Is it though? Because like you're using their service.
I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah,
right?
well, I'm going to play the devil's
Instagram.
advocate back and say nobody's making me use Instagram.
No one's making you use Instagram, man. You can leave anytime you want.
Then what about
and
content creators that depend on that to make a living?
That's their choice to be part of that job, man. There's other jobs.
It's the same way as saying, oh, manufacturer workers are getting killed at a 10 times higher rate, and then saying it's their fault for staying in the factory work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's their fault for not leaving.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
Yeah. That's just how it goes. The reality
really
is, though, there are a lot of people that feel like they depend on one source of income when they could very easily switch to a completely different stream and be making the same amount.
Even not very easily. Even if it's hard.
Yeah, they can still
do it. The fact that it's not impossible is enough.
Yeah, of course. And there's a lot of people in today's modern era that don't see it as an option. They think that they're working a server job and they're going to be doing that for the rest of their life. But no, you don't have to.
I have to.
especially with the internet. Like, okay, maybe there are a lot of people that move from server jobs onto the internet where their content is owned by somebody else. But actually, in that sense, I think, do you own your videos on YouTube, or does YouTube own your videos?
There's like a Creative Commons license or something.
Yeah, but the Creative Commons
is it?
that's an
There's-
option. You
There's
can
some.
turn it on, or you can keep. I mean, no, if you can get monetized from your videos, obviously you own your videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just gave your
So,
videos
I
to
think
YouTube, YouTube would be making all the money off your videos.
I think you're definitely making something. However, they do kind of be screwing you over a little bit, which it's like, how much of a responsibility do companies have to not mess you over, and how do we make sure that people aren't getting messed over too bad?
Yeah, and it's the same idea with banning people off of social media.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely should be able to ban somebody off of social media, you know? It's somebody's company. If it was my company, I want to be able to do what I want with my company. You know? I want to be able to ban somebody off my platform if I feel the need to. But there's a certain level of control that you need to have to give up in order to exist in a society that has a government. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They has a certain set of laws and a certain set of regulations for a purpose. They want the people to coexist well and equitably, but there's a certain line that I don't think the government should have the right to cross
Yeah.
in regards to people's businesses. You know? Because YouTube, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, is a business.
It's just a business.
Any online business, you know, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have Facebook. They're all just businesses. You
Just
know?
because something is some way now doesn't mean it needs to stay that way, or that it will always stay that way.
Yeah.
And the evidence of that is all of time itself.
Literally. Yeah.
Mm.
History repeats itself. I'll say that.
It does, but it doesn't have to. It does, because people are dumb and they keep doing the same dumb things, but it doesn't have to.
Does it repeat itself though?
Yeah. Up to thus far, we have seen it.
History has patterns.
This is the newest age in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've already seen repeats of the same thing. Like, you think about
Repeats of certain constructs, but history in general is moving in a forwards direction.
Yeah.
I mean, we're never gonna bring back the doggone ice. I mean, we're not gonna bring back mammoths. You know, history is not gonna repeat itself to the T.
Actually, sorry to burst your bubble there, buddy.
We're bringing back mammoths.
Yeah,
they're
actually
we're bringing back mammoths.
That was the worst example for me to use. That is
there's like a lab
thing
that is
working
the
on
absolute
they're
worst
working on
example.
constructing like back from the DNA.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
We're not gonna make
Wow.
mammoths, actually.
All of you can go about your days now knowing that you're not going to have made the worst example of the day. How incredible is that? That is
Wonderful.
That is amazing. Yeah, okay, a bad example. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to be born again in the future. You know, you fast forward. Oh my God, don't even.
I just thought of something. Hang on. Actually.
Okay, I thought it was going to say I was going to be born again in the future.
Who knows? We'll be uploading our minds
my
to things not based on carbon. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, part of one of my classes, this is just like entirely random.
Okay.
Is like they were talking about how, like, you know, people say that the people who will live to 150 have already, you know, been born. The first
Yeah.
people who live to 150 have been born. And then it had a question on our sheet, like, how do you feel about living to 150 and working for 100 years? And I'm like, ha! You think I'm going to work for 100 years?
Guys, I'm working for 2 maximum.
Like,
Hold up. Who was saying that
That's crazy.
that we're gonna
man.
live to 150?
the human lifespan is going to go crazy.
Yeah.
So
Do you realize
AI is
that
going to solve every disease.
Artificial
pretty much, dude.
intelligence is going to give us a universal cure to, like, all bacterial infections and viral. And people are like, no, it's not. Just wait.
what's the
Just
like
literally
the-
20 years from now, let's see.
Just wait.
Oh.
Just wait.
So
What
it's
was
the
the
myelin
thing-
sheaths, right? The myelin sheaths on
myelin
your
sheaths.
cell that are the determinant of your age.
Yeah.
As you age, they begin to break down, and there's nothing that we found that can slow this.
Hey,
Slow this.
We
process.
found that's the key.
Just because we haven't found it
There's
yet doesn't mean it
no-
doesn't exist.
scientific basis on anything that can make you age longer yet,
Age slower.
Age slow.
or age slower.
Yeah.
Age longer, as in,
Get older.
yeah,
Okay.
live
Well,
your
we
life over a
know-
greater period of
Okay.
time.
That's not quite true. There's no one determinate thing.
Yeah,
But
nobody
we
dies.
know a lot.
How many
about-
people? No, listen. How many people die because their myelin sheaths are sparse?
Pretty much everyone that lives into old age.
It's more of
Because
stuff that
when
happens-
your myelin sheaths and your organs start to break down, then your organs start to shut down.
right, artificial organs. Okay.
There you go.
I mean, so cybernetics you're talking about now.
Yeah, cybernetics.
Well, not necessarily, because they can grow tissue now.
That's true. We do have that as well. We
could possibly,
Oh,
very
did you
possibly
see
grow new organs.
They put a grown heart in like a pig or something, and it worked. They grew
That's
a
pretty
heart,
cool.
put it in a pig, and it worked.
That is
or something
actually
like
really
that.
cool.
Like
That's ridiculous.
this is things that's happening today. This isn't science fiction. This
Mhm.
is today.
And
This-
the reason why it's
this is happening
so
now.
hard to comprehend is because it hasn't happened yet. We're on the cutting edge of history, really.
so pretty much.
But hold
I've
up, hold up.
stopped
I'm gonna bring you
Yeah,
back to another
yeah.
point here, and it's that every generation DNA degrades.
Wait till we can modify it. I mean, we
But do
the
you?
experiments.
But that brings up a whole
using-
nother wheelhouse here, dude.
Don't
Yeah,
care.
designer babies.
Don't care.
Designer babies, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Designer babies
like,
are going to be the future
should
for sure.
we-
Everyone's going to be modifying the DNA of the baby in their womb.
But that doesn't answer the basic question of should you
What do you mean? On a moral basis,
on
or
a moral basis?
on a moral
Yeah.
basis.
I don't think it matters a whole lot morally.
Like, if you got AIDS and you can cure your AIDS by changing genes.
If everyone is
is
a
that a problem?
designer baby,
Well, hang on.
who's actually designer?
It doesn't matter.
I'm saying
everyone's a
so if
designer.
everyone has the prime genetic code,
Yeah,
there would be no way to distinguish between
Well,
people.
okay.
yeah, there would.
That
be.
would also require that there be a prime. I don't think that we'll be seeing much designer baby. I think we'll see post modification,
Yeah,
but like
when I get AIDS, you're gonna cure my AIDS. You
yeah,
know,
when I get AIDS,
stuff
you can
like
keep it-
that.
because I
Here's
think that,
another thing.
I think that we really shouldn't be doing a lot of like, for instance, that there are places where you could change your kids, gender and like have them actually change
From the womb.
before. Well, just before they're 18, they could be like 12 years old, and you can do
Oh,
it. Like,
yeah.
like that's
That-
insanity.
That stuff is actually
Like,
insanity, dude.
If you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. We live in America. You can do what you want. But to do it to a child, that's insanity.
So
Yeah.
how would you go about changing the genetic code of an adult?
With CRISPR.
What is that?
Well, so like,
CRISPR is
so you can-
CRISPR. I don't remember what any of the
So,
letters are,
like-
but it's
well, hang
basically a
on.
way to edit the genome.
All right,
we
I was
can-
just thinking you were talking about bacon, so I don't know.
there we have vaccines that use mRNA to like tell the body how to do things. So you could use like
Yeah, I think
RNA, mRNA to instruct the body how to alter its code and how to do things. It's complicated,
But
and it's like a
How
science that
do
we're
you-
just
so-
learning.
so it's just like a chain process to get down to that point, though,
Yeah.
because we have nothing that can directly interact with something, right?
What?
On that small of a scale, right?
What?
Like we don't have a needle that can poke through a
Well,
cell.
just like in order to alter our DNA, we don't have to like actually go in there and like take the little strands out. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I mean
gonna
it's
have,
it's like a
like
they introduce like a virus or something.
it's an
Right.
enzyme. It's
but
an
we would
enzyme
program
type
our
thing.
viruses.
Yeah. So you program the
But
virus.
how do you talk about programming a virus? How do you do that?
Well, I'm not a scientist. I don't fully know. We already do it, and I think it has to do with like they take pieces of other virus and they just do some. I don't know how they do it. I don't care how they do it.
It's a
I just know
chemical-
that they
That's
can do
It's
it.
a
another thing,
chemical
yeah.
and physical process.
It's a complicated thing.
Yeah.
I just-
I mean,
I
you
just
say
know that
you
they
say
can do
they take this or they do that, but how?
Ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
you
I
Ask
don't know.
ChatGPT.
I'm very curious about this topic.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think that's a topic for another day.
I don't know precisely how
probably,
it
yeah.
works because we don't have the information.
Yeah, I don't have it
Look at
readily
us.
available.
So
Look at us
the
medical
reason why I'm
professionals.
super interested in this is because I've been looking a lot into quantum mechanics lately.
Quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics is so
It's
cool,
it's so cool.
especially when you're talking about entanglement, right? So the theory, or now it's been proven that quantum. Well, it's been tested.
It's yeah. We've had evidence point to the
There's
fact that-
there's been a positive test.
well, just one positive test doesn't confirm anything.
That's true.
It takes more, but evidence is pointing towards the fact that quantum
Yeah.
entanglement is the source
So-
of consciousness.
So
Is the source of
mathematically,
consciousness?
it's been mathematically proven.
Wait, hold on. John just whispered something groundbreaking right there. Well, John, what did you just say?
I saw this paper that was explaining that like the quantum entanglement is like what causes consciousness or what we call as the emergent property of
That's great.
consciousness.
How'd they find
What
that
in the
out?
world?
I don't know. I didn't read the paper.
To me, that just sounds like spitballing, right? Like,
Well,
there's no way that you could actually prove that one way or another because we
sure
don't
you
know what
could.
consciousness is yet.
Right. Like I'm sure that it could be proven, but what's your definition of consciousness in this paper?
That's another
You
thing,
know.
like dark matter.
Well,
Theoretically, we know that it exists, and mathematically, it's
I-
been proven to exist,
well,
right?
dark
but-
matter is just a bad name for it. What it should be. Again, it's dark gravity. Dark gravity is a much better name for it because that's all that we know what it is it's just gravity. We can't see anything that's causing it, but how we observe dark matter is by we just observe gravity. And that's just that. And people are like, oh, it's this thing that can like do all these things. Well, that's assuming that it's matter. We know really nothing about it except for that we can't see it. It doesn't appear to interact with matter, and we observe it by the fact that it has a lot of gravity and it's everywhere. And then there's dark
But
energy
if it has gravity, then it is interacting with matter.
in any other way aside from gravity. I mean, that's what I meant, but if you like me to specify these things, I'll specify these things.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cocksucker.
Dane loves this.
I mean, this
Loves
is
specification.
this is a very specific topic,
Right, yeah, no,
so,
no,
so you
yeah.
need to be specific.
It's very specific.
So what were you gonna say?
So I was thinking about dark matter, right? And if it really exists in such great quantities as it's been proposed, and if we could find a way to interact with it, as in like physically move it, I think then you can come up with a whole different type of propulsion system. Right? So right now we're stuck with expelling something that you bring up.
Well, hang on. We're working on new stuff.
Is there an electronic propulsion system?
That is like publicly on the market right now, or that's being
that
worked on.
that can't. Well, that's being worked on,
Yeah,
or
there's like 6 dude.
that's
dog,
been tested.
So
that can work in space.
The amount of different companies working on different I spend so many hours just reading papers about this company is working on this new thing. There are like 20 different types of rockets being built right now. There's like 10 new car engines that have people are just constantly testing.
So
new
here's my
things.
thing, right? Is every model of an electric motor that we have is, I mean, it's physical. It turns something.
Yeah.
But
We
that
always
wouldn't
have to
work
turn
in
something.
space because space is a vacuum and there's nothing to turn.
Well, it wouldn't be powered off like an electric motor. By say.
So then how does it provide propulsion? What actually moves?
Light has mass.
A very tiny amount of mass.
It's space, dog. Nothing's stopping your movement. Doesn't matter how long it takes you to speed up.
I mean, but
And like one way that
so
you
here's
can-
here's the thing, right? Is
Well, okay. Part of the reason that we need such propulsion is to get off of Earth.
mhm.
If we launch our rockets off the moon, our rockets could be so much smaller.
Yeah,
You know,
and they wouldn't
'Cause, like,
need all of the super
because most of that fuel is just to get them off Earth.
Yeah, I was gonna
No,
say they
no,
wouldn't
no,
need
no, no.
all
So-
the
so-
super heavy fuel.
It's always a one-way trip, though, right? So
Is it?
What do you mean?
only have the fuel that you bring with you. There's no way that you can get more fuel in space.
Yet.
Unless you can utilize the sun in some way.
No. You can make fuel on other planets. We can make fuel on the moon. They've already proven of how they do it. You know?
Can they really?
Yeah.
But then you have to stop on the moon or what have you.
Well, I mean,
So
it would make sense for most of your launches to be done on not Earth. Why would you launch most of your stuff on Earth? There's so much gravity here. It's just a waste of fuel.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot.
So like, I already view us as like in the space age. You know?
No, we're not. 100% not.
We are.
And I'll tell you why we're not.
We're
Is
in it at
because
the very beginning, at the earliest point.
Okay.
We are at the very start, of space age. We're unfortunately at the point where like most people aren't on board because they're dumb and they don't have interest in. They're like, oh, why are we spending money on space? We should be spending money on free abortions and welfare.
Should we nuke the poles of Mars?
That's a little bit rash. We should examine a couple other ways.
I mean, it's been theorized, right?
It's been theorized
that it's the fastest and easiest way to jumpstart an atmosphere on Mars.
I've heard other people say that instead of doing that, take asteroids and redirect them.
Yeah, but first you have to
Redirect
make it out to the asteroids, and then you have to attach a heavy propulsion system onto the asteroid to redirect it.
Not really. All it takes is a slight movement in an angle far enough away.
Okay, and then you have to wait like 1,000,000 years for it to come back around.
It doesn't take 1,000,000
Not
years.
necessarily, so.
Like, it'll take 20, 40 years. But again, human lifespan moves up.
Exactly. I mean,
Human lifespan
if the
moves up.
human lifespan moves up, then that's great. But if it
That's great.
doesn't, then we're only going to be the pioneers, and we're not going to be able to see anything through.
I don't
Well,
think there's any way of just saying that
look.
it's not going to.
The speed,
There's just no matter how you shake
And here's
it,
another thing: if we have
human
a colony,
lifespan's going up.
we
Yeah.
need to start terraforming before we move to Mars.
100%.
Obviously.
Like the instant we get anything there, we need to start. Now there's people who are like, no, maybe we shouldn't terraform planets. We should just leave them, as they are. And I'm like,
Why?
Nah.
that's dumb. Let's like
What
mine for the
have we
resources.
done with Earth? Doc, got it.
Got it. Yeah, we should preserve. We shouldn't just like tear the place apart and like ruin the knowledge that we could have learned from it. But we shouldn't just be like, nope, no one touch. Keep your hand. It's not a museum.
Exactly.
We're not going here to go. Oh, look at that. Oh wow.
Look at that
No,
rock.
we're showing up to take over
Exactly.
my planet now.
What do you think about fusion?
What think about fusion?
Yeah, did you hear about the successful tests?
I mean, we like broke even, but wasn't like that much energy.
Yeah, but it was
yeah,
energy.
Yeah.
And it was on
It's
like
progress.
2 hydrogen atoms,
It was like 200. Yeah, I love
I
that.
mean, it was like nothing.
it was like nothing, but it was something.
But it produced something.
Yeah. So like, right now we seem to be at a point in time where a lot of proof of concepts are happening.
Mhm.
All it takes is making our next step from now that we know that it's possible. How do we do it better, more efficiently, faster,
Yeah.
in larger quantities? And I think that coming back again, AI is just gonna take this thing and just make everything just speed up and how quickly things advance, because our computer models is where a lot of our testing happens. Like people will test thousands of models before they ever build something.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. And that's the design process now.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take anything. It doesn't take a whole lot of money to run a model on your computer, right?
Yeah. Or you
However-
could just borrow a couple hours on someone else's
That's what I'm
computer.
saying. However, you get into designing it in the physical world,
That costs money.
that costs a lot of money.
You gotta
And then
build
guess
something,
what?
you
Your
gotta pay
test
someone to
doesn't
build it.
work. The thing doesn't work. Guess what? That's a lot of money that you just wasted.
And so there's a push for, so like, I don't know. I think that it's going to go at an exponential rate. Technologies has been going at an exponential rate, and I don't know why people think that after 40, 45 years that we're done. We're done. That's the exponential curve. We've reached the peak of technology. It's going to keep going faster. I mean, like maybe it'll pause for a second while we like twiddle our thumbs and are happy with what we have, but then we realize that we could do better than this.
We could do it a lot better than this.
And I think that once people start going off, then it's just
So
one
I'll
step
tell you
after
what I'm
another.
worried about, right? I'm worried that we get to the end where we've discovered
What's the end?
every law of nature, and we have a complete understanding of how the universe works.
Probably be dead by then. I'm fine.
And
I
then
don't care. I don't care.
there's no way for us to actually travel faster than light.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like
Because at that point, then we're stuck forever in our solar system, pretty much.
like every time a clock ticks, there's like millions of stars that pass this point of which you just can't like be able to
Exactly.
see 'em
I mean,
anymore.
it's
like
right now every
there are-
other well, not
there
every
are-
other, because there's
there-
another galaxy moving closer, right?
Andromeda,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to merge with us.
That's
which
crazy.
apparently the merge has begun in the sense that the earliest, like farthest edges of the gases have begun to touch.
That's
Lord.
cool.
Which
Wow.
is like that's cool.
But we're still talking
That's a
about
big thing.
millions of years.
oh, like
Billions.
billions. It's gonna be like no, like that's nothing that
Will
we're ever
our
gonna see.
sun burn out before that happens?
I don't
That's a
think
good
it'll matter. Look,
question.
if we're
You
still,
don't think it'll matter? Because everyone's screwed
well,
then
no.
anyways.
I don't think
I mean, really, yeah.
I don't think it'll matter because we went from horses to boats to cars to planes in a couple hundred years. If we're still on Earth in 100 years, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What happened?
No, because
No, dude.
Really, when you
that's
think about
exactly what happened. It's
Yeah.
almost been 100 years.
It's what
We went
happened.
we went to the moon in the 1960s.
Yeah,
And then there was no progress after that.
but now we're going back. Going back to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. We're actually establishing a base on the moon this
Yeah.
time.
So
Establishing
that was
bases
the
on
part.
Mars.
That was the part that John was talking about, where we were twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah, we're just
We were twiddling our thumbs. We said, "Hey, we made it. We can relax."
Wasting our
But
time.
now we're like, "No, we
Like,
need to get on it."
It's not that technology reached a limit. It's that people stopped pushing that limit.
Yeah.
It's the difference
And-
between public and private funding, though.
Well, so like with something like space,
Mhm.
you can't start private. You just can't. Like no one's gonna imagine a world where no one's ever been to space. Nothing's been to space, and you're gonna convince someone to spend their money trying to put something into space that we don't even know if it's possible quite yet. No one's gonna spend millions of their dollars doing that.
So you have the government waste taxpayer dollars to do it?
Bada bing, bada boom.
There you go.
And now that
They
we've-
waste enough
I
taxpayer dollars.
disagree with this.
They waste enough
What?
taxpayer dollars doing stuff that doesn't help us out. You know.
So I
Yep.
think what drives America in particular is
Money.
capitalism.
capitalism and money.
Capital, right?
Capital.
So I think once people realize that, hey, we can get other resources that are running out in space.
Well, space has
There's only a couple places in the world where there's cobalt, which is one of the necessary materials for every technology.
so we've already made space a market. You can go to SpaceX and you can like book to have like a satellite launch. Like if you're a company and you want a satellite launch, you can go pay to SpaceX and they'll put it on SpaceX rocket and they'll launch it up and it'll come down, and that's already that. And you can already pay to get taken up to the edge of space. You don't actually go to space. They're lying to you because you're still in the atmosphere. But but like I think it's NASA again. There's stuff that comes out like every day. People are always doing something new, especially these days. That's what I'm saying. Stuff is happening now. Is the time
Mhm.
to read the news, and not the Fox News, not CNN, not any of those. Read science.
read science.
Yeah. Read science news. It's a lot better. And they are sending a probe to a asteroid that's worth more than Earth.
Mhm.
Just because like it's just pure precious rock.
It was really dense with gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like just
Which
like
is great,
gold and
because-
silver and
Here's the thing, though. I think the best thing to do would be to direct most of these asteroids to places like Mars or the moon, where then we can go and easily access them.
so I think
We're running out of too many things.
what if we through. Well, so I don't think that we should toss them on the moon, because then you're getting a little close to home. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Get a little close to home.
Just
Get
a
a little
little
close to home. But like, like, we could save a little chunk of Mars. Just toss some asteroids down there. Go down there and grab the metal.
Yeah.
Do what it do. And there are like moons of Saturn and Jupiter. Some of those are pretty good candidates for having life. But that's a whole nother topic entirely that we can talk about on another episode.
On the maybe next episode.
Maybe even next episode.
Oh man, I'm pretty interested in this.
Well,
hold up.
We've already been going for too long,
Let me
dude.
say one thing. So I'm wondering how those planets can stay hot enough, and that's the biggest thing.
We gotta wrap it up.
Atmosphere.
One way that is possible is that the massive amount of gravity that is put off by these massive planets would be able to heat up the cores of these planets. That would heat up water that is held underneath them. And
I've never heard of gravity causing thermal energy.
Dane, we gotta save it for the next pod, dude. We gotta go.
It exists. Find it. Look it up.
Yeah. Without further ado, go follow us on Instagram at The Minimum Wage Pod.
And be sure to subscribe to our Clips channel, MWP Clips. Without further ado,
this has been
the Minimum Wage Podcast.
Where the name is above our pay grade. Peace.